Hi everyone, Michelle from Plentiful Plates, and I'm here today. We're going to talk about squash. So fall is the perfect time to explore and experiment and try new squashes if you haven't already. I have 3 here today that I'm just going to introduce you to. They came from my parents' garden this Thanksgiving weekend. We picked them right off the vine, so they're nice and fresh and the perfect time of year to start eating them if you don't already. So in the slow cooker today, I have a butternut squash soup. It has some ginger, apple, curry, turmeric, garlic, and onion. So I'll post the recipe on my website. It's a really simple set it and forget it kind of recipe, but it used a butternut squash. So this is a butternut squash, and I'm going to show you how you can cut it up and prepare it. This is a delicata squash. So this one, a little bit finer of skin on it. You can roast it chopped up and actually eat the skin if you like. You can cut it lengthwise, scoop it out, fill it up like a zucchini boat, like you would a zucchini boat, that kind of thing, serve it stuffed. Or it's really nice just roasted and put on salads. It's a milder, more delicate squash. And then this was sort of a traditional squash I grew up eating. I love it. You can just half it, hollow it out, roast it like that, put some, my mom would put brown sugar and butter in it. So today I would use coconut oil and maple syrup to use whole food ingredients to just really accentuate the sweetness of this. You don't even need to do that. Spicy red pepper with a little bit of olive oil roasted is really great. Again, it's a great vessel for stuffing, wild rice, quinoa, that type of thing. And I'll probably be posting something this fall because I do love to cook with squash in all sorts of forms, all sorts of recipes. So let me just bring the camera down here and I'll show you how you can cut up a butternut squash. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. So this isn't a very large one. This one will probably yield about 2 to 3 cups. The one that I used this morning is quite large. The neck of it that I used filled up my crock that had 8 cups of squash diced. So it was a much larger one, but this one's easier for demonstration purposes. So this is how I prepare it. So first of all, you want to use a large knife, the largest knife that you have, because it's great to be able to put a second hand up on that and stabilize the knife when you're cutting it. The most important thing probably though is to have a really sharp knife. You don't want a dull knife because that's when accidents happen. It will slip and slide and digits will be chopped. I like to, even with a small butternut squash, I like to cut the neck off first and then break it up that way. So simply slice it. So when we cut in, I'll cut into this part here now. This is where the seeds are. So, oops, I'm rolling away. So great demonstration. It's very wobbly. Even the bottom is wobbly. So we've cut it in half so that I'm able to stabilize it and use that flat surface to keep it stable while I, again, put my hand on it and bring the knife down. So there's where the seeds are. You can see you just want to scoop the seeds and inside pulp out with a tablespoon. It's really quite easy. And don't throw those seeds away. You can use those much like pumpkin seeds when you carve your jack-o'-lanterns at Halloween time and you roast those up. Any squash seed is great roasted up. A good source of minerals there for you and a delicious healthy snack. Good fats in there and a little bit of oil and some salt, and it's a really great snack. So you've hollowed those out and it's as simple as that. So peeling these, if you're roasting your butternut squash, you don't have to peel it. A really great way to make squash is to actually roast it and puree that up, or take the outer skin off, roast it up and puree that up. So if you are going to make a squash soup like I did today in the crock pot, you do want to take the skin off. It depends on how tough the skin is. I know you can use a peeler. Actually, it's working quite nicely. The one I used this morning was definitely not going to take a peeler to. I couldn't take a peeler to it. It was too thick. So this one is nice and easy. You can peel it. Or if you don't have a big enough peeler, you're sort of worried about how that works in terms of cutting your finger or whatever, you can use a knife. And you just want to, again, put the flat surface down and just run your knife like this. And this is generally how I do peel a butternut squash soup, or butternut squash. And it's just that simple. Discard the skin, and it's ready to go. So now you have the neck of the butternut squash is peeled. So I like to cut it in half. And then this one I'll just cut in half one more time. So you want to get nice evenly diced pieces with this. You could cut these in matchstick and roast those up like that and have like a butternut squash french fry, or you could dice it up, line those up a little bit better, and dice them into even-sized cubes, which makes it great for soup because they're going to cook evenly and all at the same time. You can add this into risotto. You can just roast it up and puree it with some lovely fall fruits like pear or apple, garlic, ginger. Add all the seasonings that you like. Add an onion, make a nice mash or puree. I like to also add cubed butternut squash into my chili or into curry in place of a sweet potato. Whatever they call for a sweet potato, I just dice up a squash this size. So the butternut squash is nice and firm for that type of cooking, right? So for a curry or a stew or chili, that type of thing, it will be nice and firm. The acorn squash or the bell pepper squash has a little bit more fiber in it. Not quite like a spaghetti squash, but I don't know. It doesn't cube up the best. It doesn't hold its form when it's roasted and all that. So that's why it's nice to keep it in its whole form and roast that up. And again, I can just show you how to do this. This is just the same basic technique. A little bit harder. If you have the bigger the knife, the better. I can't remember what they're called, like a machete style knife. They work really well too. It's a big sucker. All right, there we go. All right, so you can see there's a little bit more seeds in there. You can't really tell that it's more fibrous than the other, but just scoop those out again, save the seeds, roast them up. So you could just score the inside of that, put some of that like coconut oil or olive oil and a sweet thing, some chili pepper, black pepper, salt, and put it in your oven for about 45 minutes on a cookie sheet and bake that up, and you'll have a lovely roasted acorn squash. And I'll do this last one here too. So the delicata, this is quite a large one. Chop the end off, chop this end off. And I can show you, so you could easily just slice through this and serve little squash rings. This, take the seeds out. Probably use a smaller knife if you were doing this. Pop out the seeds. And have these really cute little squash rings, which you can just toss in a little bit of oil and seasoning and roast those up and eat them, like I said, with the skins on. So those are some 3 popular squashes that you're going to find at your farmer's market, at the grocery store, in your gardens this fall. So I hope that's helpful for you. Gives you some techniques and pointers on how to peel them up and some preparations. And keep your eye on plentifulplates.com, my blog, and I'll be posting recipes there throughout the fall using these wonderful ingredients. Okay, everyone, so the moment of truth has come. I've just zipped home on my lunch break here to check the butternut squash soup that I left in my crock pot this morning. So I'm just going to move the camera in so you can see that, and I'll show you how we finish this up. So in the crock pot here is my 8 cups of cubed butternut squash. I have 1 onion that's been chopped up, about a tablespoon of finely minced ginger, about 3 cloves of minced garlic, and that's it. 1 apple. Did I say an apple? A large apple diced. You can see how big the hunk of apple is. I covered that with 4 cups of water, some salt, a tablespoon of curry powder, a teaspoon of turmeric, which gives it that lovely yellow glow, great anti-inflammatory, along with the butternut squash as well. And a teaspoon of salt. So what we'll do is we'll blend that up with an immersion blender. Because this is still bubbling, I'm just going to turn the power off, and it's really warm. So that's why I'm using my immersion blender. So this, if you've not seen it before, is an immersion blender. It just immerses right into the liquid here, and you zip that up. If you don't have an immersion blender, then by all means, you might just want to use your regular blender. If you have something like a high power blender like a Vitamix or something with a steam lid, you want to make sure that you don't put hot liquids into a blender. That's dangerous. Either cool it down and then put it in your blender and puree it up. Otherwise, this is a really great option. And it's going to be a little noisy here, so let me just get it started, then I'll pause it. And here's our soup all blended up. You can see how nice and creamy and smooth that is. There are no chunks left, and that coconut milk has really helped to make it a creamy, delicious soup. So now we have this beautiful bowl of butternut squash soup. I call it coconut curry butternut squash soup. Cooked it in a slow cooker, and it is a really great way to highlight the deliciousness of this squash.